friends, colleagues, welcome to the channel of Chief. Today we're on a friendly visit to the Republic of Belarus in the hero city of Minsk. I'm happy to introduce our podcast guests, a company that is one of the very first crypto exchanges in Belarus, the Bynex company represented by Dmitry, the acting director, and Olga. Olga is in charge of working with key clients, right? Super wonderful. Thank you so much, guys, for responding to the request to chat and discuss the topic. And the topic of our conversation today is digital assets. Digital assets within global trends and tendencies and within our countries, Belarus and Kazakhstan. Today, we'll be drawing quite a few parallels between our countries regarding regulation, regarding general compliance, AML checks, and so on and so forth. I think we should actually take a moment to really highlight, as part of our discussion today, some of the cool and interesting features from Bynex, from the side of maybe general global trends, maybe between our companies. Although, to be honest, we really don't overlap much, but our target audience is very similar. I think both our clients and listeners, viewers from Kazakhstan will find the situation in the Republic of Belarus interesting, the crypto market, the microclimate, the digital climate in Belarus, how things are, and in general, how far digitalization has progressed among the population. That is, I can only judge Kazakhstan, and I only know about Belarus very superficially. So once again, thank you so much for coming over. I really hope for a return visit. Definitely. Super wonderful. But Olga, let me perhaps start with you. You work with key clients. Who is the key client in Belarus today? Is it a legal entity, an individual? I mean, who is this key client?
I wouldn't tie it to the location of Belarus because we work with clients not only from Belarus, but also with non-residents of the Republic of Belarus. Certainly the lion's share of the exchanges. Clients are individuals. Because we are HTP residents as well, so we have a legal regime that, for the most part, binds our users so that they deposit and withdraw fiat funds through HTP residents through the crypto platform. Of course, legal entities are the backbone of the exchange. Legal entities, as a rule, to a greater extent, are still non-residents of the Republic of Belarus, but for whom they need cryptocurrency that is clean, legal, and safe. That is specifically key clients. If we are talking about legal entities conducting over-the-counter transactions of large volumes.
Do I understand you correctly that the legal entities being served on your platform, they actually utilize crypto exchange operations in their business activities? Is that correct? Operational activities?
Yes, that's exactly right. At the same time, the percentage of Belarusian resident companies now is also going up a bit for us because our Belarusian companies are already using cryptocurrency as an investment.
Super, wonderful, even a bit unexpected. A question follows from this, and if it can be named or voiced, what industry businesses are we talking about at all? What industries do the clients work in?
Absolutely different ones.
So it's import, export, anything at all?
Yes, including that. It could also be manufacturing, trading companies.
Wonderful. So your regulator, which is the high-tech park, it does not contradict the fact that a non-resident can enter, and they are not limited in any way in their rights, right?
No, only in what is, let's say, permitted or allowed in this context.
I see. So for them, based on your compliance, they can enter and they have no restrictions on working here. On the platform, after all, you are a resident of the Republic of Belarus?
Yes, of course.
So they actually have no restrictions at all in relation to Belarusian, say, legal entities?
No, there won't be. If they are not prohibited from doing this at home, then they are welcome to join us on equal terms, somewhere even a bit easier, because the compliance for Belarusian legal entities is a bit tougher than for foreign ones.
So that's how it is, huh?
Yes, that is. One could go into details for a long time.
Well, we won't dig into the details. We have smoothly approached the question of global trends, right? So one way or another, Belarus there, it's Kazakhstan, or generally global ones, other countries which are, whose residents are your clients or customers. They still work in a specific legal field on which you are based, right? Well, and accordingly, it is actually all really quite strictly, regulated, and you yourself confirm that foreign companies are less regulated, right?
Well, look, primarily the industry itself is regulated, and the processes themselves, while the participants who enter as clients, yes, their status differs a bit. Yes, there are Belarusian ones. They are under closer scrutiny by Belarusian legislation because here they are ours. We control them there on one hand. There are foreigners who have come a bit like foreign guests. After all, we've done some work. You can't break the law, but there are definitely some concessions. I won't dive too deep into the details, but for comparison, when a client comes to us who is going to issue tokens, ICO tokens, a Belarusian and a non-resident, it's a bit easier for the non-resident, even the volume of info. The certifications is currently a bit less than for a Belarusian because Belarusians are controlled more. They're here and the control over them is greater. But overall, if we go back to global trends, I think the main global trend was voiced as applied to Belarus, but I think it will be true for everything. So it's for regulation, meaning regulation is deepening with every, year, maybe every quarter or month. And obviously, even though we can't look at a very long period, even those 6 years since 2020, when crypto exchanges in Belarus started working actively, we already see a trend of what's changed, and the trends we see from abroad are being adopted. It's a tightening. And I think I'll be your most boring guest. I'll be answering with 2 abbreviations all day today. AML, KYC, AML, KYC. And these processes, there are just so many now, and they are tightening literally every minute now. And for clients, but we don't always say that it's bad. We often say it's good. Maybe that's how it should be. I think we'll dive deeper. But yes, there's a trend toward more regulation, toward control by the state, toward increasing the power, and sometimes even the number of regulators as well. And I think this is typical for the whole world, and we here are not falling behind.
Yes, there are definitely these kinds of things, and they can sometimes really hinder business operations. In fact, on a global scale, these issues can become even more significant. Trend, I'm talking about strict regulation. Yes, if we look at those European trends today, then in principle, it's very difficult to work with crypto. Yes, for example, if I rely on my own experience, on the experience of ex-chief Central Asia, despite the fact that we are a licensed CFD broker, we work with different banks. And when a client, for example, from one country or another tries to deposit money, a very strict compliance kicks in terms of general AML compliance. This sometimes makes business, well, not so straightforward, impossible as such, but it makes life very difficult. And primarily for the client suffers a bit here. Yes, by the way, if we go back to legal entities, which are the main client pool that is in Bynex, don't they get offended? I mean, when you mention things like, say, your AML, right? Or does that not bother them at all?
Of course, they'll be removed from the client list if they get offended.
Yes, because they won't be our client if they'll be upset with AML. So we have to follow the verification rules, not only for the legal entity, not just for the representatives of the legal entity, but also examine its business thoroughly and just look at it under a magnifying glass, and also check every source of funds that they bring onto the platform.
So God forbid there's even $1 from some dubious source.
Not just $1, but cryptocurrency too.
Well, that's understandable.
Because we also check for the purity and the legality of the cryptocurrencies that come to us. That's why we take a very meticulous approach to this.
Well, with legal entities, it's more or less clear overall. But individuals, well, say, I understand that the main pool is still Belarusians, right? Who are trading. So as far as I generally understand the internal demand, it's a person who, say, deposited $100 in fiat, converted it into some crypto, or did some trading. So does that mean it's like a CFD on crypto, or is he actually effectively buying some coin? What exactly is it?
Let's be honest here. For the time being, Belarusian crypto platforms are primarily being used by clients. And by that, I mean, let's say, including not only businesses, but also individual people, as a convenient and accessible point of entry into the world of cryptocurrency, meaning an entrance door into the world of cryptocurrency. What does that mean? That the client, as you say, brings in some currency. It doesn't matter. It could be the Belarusian ruble. It could be the dollar. It could be the euro. Deposits it on our platform, buys a coin, a token, And then the trading and, let's say, all the nuances of working specifically with cryptocurrency, with trading, move to foreign platforms where there's a wider range of functionality available, and including various coins as well. And after that, again, the exit also happens through Belarusian cryptocurrency platforms, again through the bank.
So it's a processing model to a liquidity provider, essentially, or not? Or a model that's as close as possible?
No, I won't try to seem smarter than I am. I'll ask you to elaborate on the question. It's not quite clear. I'm afraid of answering the wrong one.
As far as I correctly understand, all the transactions, are they transferred to an external counterparty?
Well, no, not exactly. What I mean is that's not really what it's about. It's about, and I'll add to Olga's answer, the fact that currently any Belarusian platform is an inevitable link for a Belarusian resident who wants to touch this world at all. So at the current moment, to withdraw, that is to start working with Belarusian fiat abroad without using a Belarusian exchange, is not possible. We're not judging whether that's good or bad, or why it happened or how it happened. But I can say that a couple of years ago it ceased to be physically possible to participate in trading on foreign exchanges with many workarounds, but globally, no. And then at some point, we even know when that moment arrived, they said, let's always use Belarusian platforms for withdrawals. It's not that Belarusian platforms asked, it just happened, but now we are working with it. This doesn't mean these are some automatic deals that are then processed only abroad. From there, it's up to you. You can stay here and trade right here. But if you intend to go further, then you need to convert your fiat into crypto here and move on. So it's not always just an automatic, trade-off on another platform. No, you trade here. Belarusian exchanges, Bynex, specifically has its own liquidity pool. And it's maintained every day in order to satisfy the client pool. But if there's a desire to go further, you can stay here or you can go further. I can say for myself that as a Bynex user, my main turnover stays within the platform. I'm not confident enough as a trader to go anywhere else. I'm quite satisfied with what I can get from Bynex. It satisfies me. And then it's optional, go if you want or don't.
So basically, if I have Belarusian rubles today, I deposit them on Bynex in Belarusian fiat.
Absolutely. In the most convenient way too, depositing fiat into Bynex.
I already checked with a Belarusian bank card. By the way, I wanted to clarify, stepping aside a bit. Is Alpha Bank your main partner?
All banks are our partners.
We don't single any out, I see. So I deposited Belarusian rubles, fiat in rubles, converted it, bought, say, any coin, traded it or didn't trade it. And can I say withdraw it to Bybit Kazakhstan?
Yes, of course.
No problems?
Not on our end.
So won't this be considered a withdrawal abroad in this particular situation? Or the reverse operation? So say I have a wallet, I can either from Binance Kazakhstan, where I can deposit Tengji into my wallet in fiat, convert it, say, into any coin like USDT, send it to your Bybit, and with a Belarusian card, convert to Belarusian fiat and withdraw it to a Belarusian card?
No problem, but somewhere in the middle, a question of sources will arise. Be prepared for that.
Right. That's where AML kicks in, the verification, of course. So, okay, in this case, what would you request from me? What documents do I need to provide? Say I live and work in Kazakhstan, what do I have to give you?
Look, it depends on the amount, and the AML officer will decide. The amount matters. There's a threshold where they might not ask for anything at all if it's small.
And what is that minimum threshold? Well, let's say for 1,000 unit transaction.
1K units?
Base units.
Up to 1,000 base units.
How much is that in dollars?
That's 45,000 rubles. Well, I think in some cases...
$500.
No. It's not 500. It's 45,000 Belarusian rubles.
Oh, Belarusian rubles.
That's about 10,000.
So it's a significant amount.
Basically, it's a large sum.
I'd like to step back into theory for a moment, if I may. When we were discussing the ideas of tightening control and so on, it's my firm belief that overall, when we talk about money, when we talk about finance, AML procedures, any procedures related to controlling are mandatory. The only question is who will perform them. You say it might slow down someone's business a bit or make someone's life more difficult. But let's put it this way. If we don't make it difficult, in quotes, difficult, at the point of onboarding or making a transaction, then interacting with fraudsters might make your life difficult later, whom you dealt with because you didn't go through the AML procedure. So either the client performs them themselves. We say, client, this is your entrepreneurial risk regarding a lawyer, or it's your own personal risk regarding individuals. Do whatever you want. We've given you the gateway, now you handle it. Either the client does it, or we do it, or the state does it. And then the question is, which situation is the best? Probably at the moment it's better, maybe not the best, but nothing better has been devised than having it in the hands of an institution. We haven't actually gone far in terms of preparation and requirements for conducting these compliance procedures from banks. As for Belarus, the legislation is absolutely the same for us regarding AML, the 165th law. And as far as I can tell, it's roughly the same in other countries, at least in neighboring ones, or those in our region. That's how it is. Someone must conduct compliance, otherwise someone will have problems. And at the moment, the state has suggested that we do it. We are performing these tasks. Sometimes some things even surprise us. Perhaps things could be softened here, or we could try to do things differently. But again, it's a complex, difficult issue, and very often security is at stake. I'm not trying to advocate for any draconian AML measures by any means. We should probably, though maybe I have some kind of professional bias, we should also view control procedures with understanding, because they primarily serve security functions. If we went a bit too far somewhere, took a bit more than we could have, on the other hand, in another case, we prevented potentially illegal actions and additional problems. Unfortunately, problems do occur in this field. And in our practice, for example, we very often refuse, either in carrying out transactions or in onboarding altogether. And there's this term, a special form, a spec form, which is submitted in accordance with Ministry of Finance rules. For us, it's an absolute routine. It's filed in certain cases. Either the transaction is odd or the client is odd, some kind of suspicious behavior and so on. A lot of questions arise. And the processing flow, it's also large. And if you don't do it, it will all transform into problems. So maybe there are complaints about the debt at some points, but we hope we'll manage to find a balance and maintain it.
Well, I completely agree with you here. By the way, I like that very good analogy with the bank. We have a very similar situation in working with clients. We also have quite strict compliance and onboarding and AML and so on. We have categorization and verification. And sometimes when talking to clients, not everyone likes it, especially those don't like it, who have a very superficial connection to the world of finance. My counter argument is that all these processes actually affect your own personal security. And they matter because your money is only your responsibility, your own security. You go to a bank, they ask you for anything there, and no one ever asks any questions because it's about security. Okay, great. So let's talk a little more in detail about regulation for a moment. In your case, your main regulator is the High Tech Park, or HTP, which is the organization responsible for overseeing and managing the rules that apply to your activities in the high-tech sector. How does it interact with the central bank? Do they duplicate functions? Do they overlap? Is it endowed with the powers of a financial institution? Can you tell us something in this regard?
We can.
What is it endowed with? Well, HTP, everyone knows that. I know that the high-tech park it's a place, it's literally a local place in Minsk where the entire IT industry in Belarus is concentrated, by and large. But at the same time, there's a registry that forms the financial sector, part of which is quite strong. It's gaining momentum. I think in the near future, it will occupy a significant part. I mean, the crypto market.
Yes and no. And it is and it isn't, and it's concentrated and it's not. Want me to start with complaints about the HTP?
Go ahead.
I have complaints about the HTP.
So HTP.
Get ready, yeah. And I really believe that the HTP, as a regulator and legislator in general, honestly did not give Belarusians that magic. Only some extreme enthusiasts knew about it.
We lit it up.
I'll immediately disagree that I'm part of the securities market.
It's not just the Belarusian ruble.
Withdrew it, then put it back in. Want a funny story? You can put it in later. I love telling it.